Hello there. I think I've showed this to y'all before, but I'm going to show you it again. This is a milling fixture that I made. I didn't design it. I watched a fella, his channel's called Pragmatic Lee. He's a machinist, very intelligent guy, way sharper than I am. Anyway, he made a fixture like this, and it's just simply aluminum. I made it on my milling machine. All these holes are 1/4 by 20. Drilled all the holes, threaded them all. I put a groove right here, and this is simply, I believe this is 1 3/4 inch diameter aluminum. I had to mill out you can see I milled out a channel in it right there, and threaded it as well, 1/4 20, and locked it into this 1/2 inch thick plate that's about 6 by 8 inches. And the way I use it for a lot of different things in my shop, for as far as fixture holding, but for my nail nick, this is what I use primarily. I used to use little vices, but this thing works a whole lot better, and I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about how I set it up. Simply, you can turn, I think I've showed this before, you can move this to any angle. I kind of snug it in just a little bit. Get one of my little hammers, one of my little machine hammers that I made here. Get a digital, you can use whatever kind of angle guide, but I've used this little cheap digital angle guide. Make sure it's zeroed out. And I know this is level because I've set it before and trimmed the mill up and everything. So we're pretty close right there. And I'll simply take and check, see we're at about 83 degrees right there, and I'll simply take my hammer and tap it forward, check the degree, tap it forward. I'm at 88.2 right there. So forth and so on until I get to 90 degrees. There's 89.3, and there is 90.1. That is very close, 90 right there. So I will tighten down at 90 degrees. After I tighten it up, I'll go ahead and just double check again, just put the angle guide up here, and it's 89.9 right there. So that's close enough for what we're doing here. I'm gonna bring you in a little closer with the camera now. So you can see these little toe clamps that I've made, and that's what we're gonna fasten the blade with. Now, I have in the past accidentally turned this the wrong way and made a left-handed knife, and most people are right-handed, but I do make them for left-handed. That was an accident when I done that. I always wanna make sure which hand, so, because I've gotta put it in here, and I've got to put it in upside down, and this is going to be for right hand, because I'm making this one for personal use. This is actually CPM 154 crucible stainless, and not messed with it a whole lot, but I made one other knife with it, and I really like how it holds the edge. I've got some information from fellow knife maker Tennessee Hillbilly. Learned a lot from his channel, but I got some information from him, the way he tempered back the spring. I usually use a saw blade through my springs, and I'm wanting to use CPM 154, the same material as the blade in this slip joint knife, so it'll all be stainless. So I appreciate that, Tennessee Hillbilly. Dwight, you're a sharp fella, and I appreciate all the information. So the way I put this in here, I'll put it, make sure it's on the right side, right hand pull, put it upside down, and I'll usually clamp it as high to the top of this fixture as I can, so our dovetail cutter will clear the fixture. And the way these work, you just tighten them down, and they tighten down the back against the plate, this back screw, and this one will it'll force this one down on top of the other one. So what I usually do is get both of them gently arranged down there, and then I'll set my blade to the angle. And when I say angle, I mean this way for my dovetail cutter over here. which is about 50 millimeters in diameter. Let me get it pulled out of that. Make sure I've got clearance. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my nail nick comes out parallel to the way that I want it to, actually parallel to the blade this way. So I'll come back to you at another angle here. And when you get it in there in the angle that you want, just simply tighten it down. Alright, with a dovetail cutter this diameter, I usually turn it on about 200 RPMs. That's where I've got it set right now, 207. Then I will move in slowly. Alright, I'm touching right there, so what I'm doing over here is I'm going to set my DRO to 0, and I'm going to go 2 thousandths at a time. I'm going to apply some cut oil to that area and gently start cutting. That's about 3 thousandths. That's about 3 thousandths of a cut. So at this time, what I will do is I will back the milling cutter away from the blade, wipe off the oil, and take a look at where the scratch is at, and make sure that's where I want my nail nick. Because if it ain't, I've still got an opportunity to move it, and I can see it's not centered just exactly where I want it, so I'm going to move it over this way just a little bit. About 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to zero back out and try it again. Alright, I'm zeroing out. I'm going to cut about 2 thousandths. Maybe 3. And then I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to back it out again and take a look and make sure that's where I want my mark. I don't know if you can see that little mark or not, but that is where I want it. I think you might be able to see it. As we move in, you can see the DRO up here as I turn, and the Y-axis coming towards our blade again. And it should show we're right on the money when it gets down to about 10 thousandths. We'll start straightening again. See how the numbers are coming down. When we get down to 0, right there, now we're going to go to about 10 thousandths. It ought to start touching again. Right. And there's 10, and you hear it starting to make a cut again. We'll put some oil on it. And as it cuts, if you'll notice the DRO, I'm going to go in 2 thousandths at a time. There's 12, 13. Put a little oil on it and give it time to work. We're going to go ahead and rotate 14, 15. We're 15 thousandths deep on our nail nick now. 16, 17, 18. And you can kind of hear as it goes in, you hear it cutting. good sharp new cutter. 20. Now I'm going to go ahead and shut it off, and I'm going to take another look just to make sure that my nail nick is looking like I want it to, and it's where I want it at. And I'm going to bring you in for a closer look. So you can see I like my nail nick to be right in that tip where the clip point meets the top of the blade, and it's centered up pretty decent. This blade is 113 thousandths thick, so what I will do with this blade is I will go about 55 thousandths deep with that nail nick. So, alright, fire it up again. Here's it coming in. You can see the cutter coming in. Here we go. I'm at 22,000. 24, 25, 26, 27. Get a little oil on there. You get the picture, I'll bring you back when we get it done. Alright, I'll take it loose and take a look at it. I think it looks pretty good from here. Alright. So, looks pretty good. Pretty close to the top, but I like it like that. And I want to show you, the dovetail cutter makes more of a deep cut in it. If you notice how deep the cut is in there, and I like the looks of that. I've got another cutter that I made, and I'll show it to you. Here's another cutter that I made. I actually made this one for an insert a while back, and I've had to use that one before. I've also made this. I think this is what most people use. Is some sort of cutter like this with a mostly high-speed steel, but I just used a little Harbor Freight carbide cutter in mine. I made this to fit into a 3/4 inch collet for my milling machine, and this cuts a good nail nick in it, but I like the dovetail cutter the best, the 50 millimeter. But now if I want a long thin slit, I'll use this or a high-speed cutter in this insert that I made here. So different ways you can do it. I just know that the first time I showed it, I was locking the knife blade up in little vices that I had made. It really wasn't a good way to show people how to do it. Of course, this is not a tutorial. It's just the way I do it, and that was not a good way to do it. It got the job done, but the dovetail cutters are much better. There's several different ways you can do it. So I've seen Tennessee hillbilly stamp them in, hot stamp them in. That's pretty cool. So y'all have a great day. I'm pleased with the way the nail nick turned out. I like the way that dovetail cutter puts it in there. I like the way the feel for this small blade. So next thing we're gonna do is heat treat this thing.